So, when I was younger, I knew I always had a problem with clowns, especially after seeing the movie It, the original. But thanks to this series, I am slowly developing a fear of balloons. And that's not right. Hi guys, my name is Maria Park, and this is Approach the Nerd. And in this episode, we are reviewing Motherland, Fort Salem, episode 5, entitled Bellwether Season. This episode was crazy. Instead of doing my normal review and kind of like recap that I normally do in these episode reviews, I am going to do a theory video. I'm just going to do one because there's so much to talk about. So I'm going to do a theory video. But before I do that, look what came in the mail today. Yes, my Final Fantasy VII Remake Deluxe came in. So you may not see me anymore. Well, at least I have to do my charm review on Friday. But yeah, exciting times. So let's just kind of jump right in. Remember last week, episode 4, Abigail, at the end of Beltane, she mentioned that her cousin was getting married, her cousin Charvel. And she wanted to have her unit with her. So she asked Rael and she asked Tally basically to be her plus twos. Well, that's pretty much what happened in this episode. They both accompany Abigail to her cousin's wedding. And they also are going because the dean of the war college is there. And of course, they want to have a pre-interview, according to Abigail, to try and make sure they have a sure spot into war college. So the reason that I'm bringing this up is so much happened at this wedding, and so much, like, a lot of the characters' involvements in this wedding kind of all led into one horrible conclusion for everybody in this series. Like, everything goes wrong in this episode. Number one, Scylla tried to get an invite as instructed by their spree leaders in episode 4. Abigail was having none of it. She's like, no, she's not on the guest list. It's in the potluck, la 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 la. So she wasn't inviting Scylla to this wedding. So Scylla just crashed it. She literally just crashed this wedding. I like Rael and Scylla a lot, but sometimes their attitudes bother me. I understand that both are from very bad, troubled, somewhat traumatic backgrounds. But the way to overcome snootiness and entitlement is not to be brats. I'm just going to say it. Like, sometimes their attitudes are kind of like, whatever. But again, I do like Scylla and Rael together. I just think that Scylla does some very unforgivable things. And like I said, the way this is written, it's just hard. It's really, really hard. This is basically their storyline. If they do end up surviving all of this and basically staying together as a couple, this is what you call, unconditional love. Because in this regard, that's what Rael's going to have. She's going to have unconditional love, especially when she realizes that Scylla did kill Porter. Because I'm still like, that's the one thing. I mean, she's done a lot of bad things. Like, I'm pretty sure she was the redhead that, killed all those people, 1,600 people, and their, was it commencement day or whatever in the first episode when they're all celebrating all the witches joining, being recruited into the military, having all those human civilians just drop to their death. That is unforgivable. So yeah, it's just a lot. It's so hard when you love a couple, especially me being a card-carrying member of the LGBT community. You want to support this couple, but you don't want one member of this couple to be evil. And Scylla actually has a lot of qualities that make her more human, but they only come out for Rael. And that is a problem. They really need to have her care about more than just being with Rael. They need to make her a more rounded character. But I digress. So she crashes the wedding, which means shady stuff is happening. Her goal is to get Rael to this beach that she basically tells Rael she went to as a child. It's pretty much a cover story for her to get, or maybe she really did. I don't know. She may have really gone there, but to me, it seems like a cover story to get to this private beach in High Atlanta, where Rael's family's from, to bring Rael to them. Now, this is where my theory video starts. Rael's mother is not dead. Willa is not dead. She's in the spree. I am 100% convinced. The only reason they would possibly want Rael is because her mother is alive. So her mother is spree. It would also explain why the Bellwethers were attacked, because the letters that, Rael's mother wrote to her were very anti-Petra Bellwether. So what way to make a mark than to go to what is the biggest, social events of the season, year, whatever, and attack the Bellwether family. And not only attack the Bellwether family, kill one of them. So that's that. I think she's alive. I 100% believe I was correct since episode 1 that Alder is the founding member of the Spree, because of how Anacostia keeps reacting. So 2 things. Her conversation with Scylla. If you remember in episode, I think it was still in the pilot episode, where she basically she's doing something to make Scylla, who's in the medical bay, very uncomfortable. She's messing with her physically, and threatening her to stay away from Rael. Well, in this episode, she doesn't make her discuss further coupledom. She doesn't hide it. Basically, she makes it known she's not happy about the situation, but it's how she talks to Scylla. And then when Tally is in the bathroom and she basically sees Scylla talking to the balloon in the mirror, which now that I'm saying that out loud makes me sound crazy. Tally goes straight to Anacostia and says, and quote, "I think Scylla is Spree." But that is the only time that comes up throughout the entire rest of the episode. Tally does not tell Rael or Abigail or anybody else what happened with Scylla and in that bathroom the whole suspicion of being a Spree. Because Anacostia probably told her not to. Because Anacostia is Spree. I mean, I'm sorry, Alder is your adopted mother. If she founded the Spree, of course your daughter, the next in line, is going to know about it. Not to mention, the attack on the Bellwethers was also very coincidental, because the plan was for Rael to be drawn away from them so they can get Rael and take her. But all these balloons showed up, right after the wedding, during the reception, and it's right after Tally tells Anacostia that, Scylla is Spree. And the second thing that happened was Bellwether was talking to General Clary. And if you remember her, she's the one whose daughter was killed in, I think it's Kislev. They went on the mission and they were looked like a warehouse or whatever. And her daughter gets beaten to death by Spree. And she's the one that said we need to take more aggressive measures. Where her and Petra were talking, and Petra and her are basically talking about how Alder's time running this show, because she's not doing anything about the Spree and not doing she's not aggressive enough to stop them. Her time in charge is counting down. Anacostia heard that. And then we had the balloons and the attack. So I'm telling you, people, Alder started the Spree to stay relevant. I think that also the side benefit is she gets to free her fellow witches, because quite frankly, she only made that agreement to keep herself alive after her sister died, and to keep, find other witches and probably keep them alive. But I mean, without the Spree, there's no one to fight. Her basically the accords she made are pretty much invalid. There's no reason for her to extend her life by using the biddies, because nobody needs her around. I mean, everything about her need for control, her need to be in charge, her need to be powerful, her need to be respected, all that stuff is gone the moment she no longer is in charge. So if the queen is dethroned, what's left with the kingdom? What's left of the kingdom in general? So this is why the Spree was created, to keep Alder in power and to keep them relevant. That's what I believe. And so, yeah, this whole story just got a million times darker and a million times more screwed up, especially since the Spree killed a Bellwether. They killed Charvel on her wedding day by slitting her throat or cutting her wrist. I believe there's blood everywhere while she was in the bathtub. So, yeah, and they tried to kill Abigail. They nearly did. They were cutting her throat. She got stabbed when she was fighting. And I will tell you, the fight with Petra and her, like mama and daughter fighting, that was pretty badass. Like, that was badass, especially my mama. I will say this about Petra. I don't know her story. I don't know how shady she is, but that woman, she'll whoop your butt. I'm just saying. Especially when you mess with her daughter. Yeah, she could not use her voice because they were doing something to disrupt her ability to use one of the seeds. So she just took her weapon out and started beating the effing out of them. Mama's not all show. So, but yeah, so they lost one Bellwether, almost lost Abigail. It's a mess. So yeah, the title Bellwether season, it was open season for Bellwethers in this episode. Now, on a side note, you do feel bad for Tally because, you know, Garrett is in this episode and he's wearing this sash, and we learn that that means that he's engaged. So for me, he seems to have genuine feelings for Tally, but he had to have been engaged the entire time, right? I mean, is that how it works? I know their marriage contracts are like 5 years. I mean, Abigail has like 4 dads. I might have been more, actually. But I guess my question is, if this was not a fluke for him and he really is into Tally, why didn't he just come clean during Beltane? I know that you want to have fun. There's like no commitment in Beltane. It's just like, get what you need to charge yourself up and go. So it's like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You're getting on the bus tomorrow. You know what I mean? So like, why not just say it? Why drag out this whole lovey-dovey Shakespearean poetry crap, you know, if you didn't mean it? But it kind of feels like he does mean it. It feels like he actually cares, but he's locked into this commitment for 5 years and he can't do anything about it. Which, I mean, I don't know. Can you break up if you're engaged? Is that how their culture is? You have to stay together? It's very strange. So yeah, poor Tally. Tally's just not having a good life right now. She's like, you know, the guy she's into is engaged, and she found out that one of her teammates / unit / sister basically is in bed with the enemy, and she can't even tell because Anacostia told her not to. We don't see her tell her that, but I know that's what happened. So yeah, Tally, she's gonna be having some issues, I'm sure, especially in the next episode, trying to keep the secret because she's not telling. And she should have been like, hey, by the way, this is your girlfriend. You know, she did this. She had a hand in this. I saw her talking to a balloon in the bathroom, but nope, never came out of her mouth. So yeah, that is a thing. I think another thing that I thought was interesting is back to Raelle and Scylla is that, remember in episode 4, last episode at the end, when Scylla comes back to her room and she gets in bed and she thinks it's Raelle laying there, and it's actually one of the members basically controlling her in this spree, and she like starts choking Scylla out. Well, Scylla took it upon herself to give her a gift. This was after Raelle gives her like a little cute little gift, I guess she made or something, which they call sexy weird. But she marks her. She literally marks her hand. She's saying it so she'll always be able to communicate with her whenever she wants. She puts an S for Scylla and engraves it in her hand. But what we know is she did it so that she will always know when the real Raelle is with her. It's smart, but you know, she branded her like a cow. So it's love, man. Again, I like them as a couple. It's just I really want the writing to be a little bit, I want to have more reason for Scylla as an individual to like her, not just because they're in a lesbian relationship, because I know we need more of these relationships, but I would like it to be more of a positive thing, not, oh, by the way, I'm also bat crazy. So I need that to be more positive. So yeah, there's that. It's just this entire episode, like it just really confirmed my suspicions of who the spree are and who's involved with the spree and who knows the spree and who is generally trying to fight the spree. It makes it seem like there's so many villains and so many saviors on all sides. Like, we don't know. We know that the spree is a radical group. They will kill themselves. They will kill mass amounts of people. They will kill anyone. But we don't know the actual people or ideals behind this group. I think there's more to it than just being a insane terrorist group. we don't know what's actually going on in Alder's head. What she puts out and projects is not what I think is actually going on inside her. Because when Petra was getting, wine or whatever, whiskey or whatever the drink was, in episode 4 in her office, Alder said, this is the only thing the civilians ever got right. Now remember, they're fighting to protect civilians. So who makes a comment like that and that level of power? That's like something our stupid president would say on stage, by calling out the Chinese virus and crap like that. That you don't say things like that when you're in that position. You're very PC. You're supposed to be able to think before you open your mouth and say things. So that I caught that and I thought that was very interesting. So Alder, yeah, she's a lot shadier than people think. And we know Anacostia is. I really don't know. Like Anacostia had this, she has this she loves the Bellwether group. And I think she prefers them. But she said in an episode to Scylla that Raelle has her own gifts. Now, how would she know that unless she was in communication with Raelle's mother? How would she know any of the stuff that she knows about Raelle unless Willow was alive? I mean, I'm being real here. Like even in the episode now when when Raelle called out Petra in the middle of the reception while she was talking about people to ask her about one of the missions or her mother's last mission that she didn't come home from, basically, it's almost like they're really like the comment that was made by Petra was, oh, well, I wish your mother was here. And of course, Raelle's like, I wish my mother was here too. And it's just, she was mentioned so much in this episode. It's almost like a foreboding thing because the balloons floating in and the attacks, I think were co-organized by her. Because I don't think she's just a member. I think she's high up. So if I'm right and Raelle's mother is alive, she is high up in the spree, this is about to get a lot crazier. And then the biggest thing that happened was after the attack, when Abigail and her mother took on the spree and they killed themselves and they basically blasted them out off the balcony. Scylla went missing. Now, Scylla was threatened. Scylla was told if she didn't bring Raelle to that beach by 6 o'clock or at 6 o'clock, that her life was forfeit pretty much. And Scylla couldn't do it. She chose Raelle, which I thought was very sweet. So like I said, she has that redeeming quality, but it's only for Raelle. So she disappears. The cute little pin that Raelle gave her was laying on the ground. She's gone. I saw in the preview that someone told Raelle that Scylla is dead. I don't think Scylla is dead. I think Scylla is either being punished or Scylla is hiding. There is a part of the preview from the next episode where you see ice, almost like an ice man, and there's a finger coming out and Raelle's reaching for it. So that's either an acid trip or that's really happening, and that is Scylla. I'm just saying. But yeah, there's this whole episode had so much. And I don't know. I mean, it just, because we have 5 episodes left. 10 episodes this season. It just seems like everything is leading up to this huge reveal. And again, they may not do it in this season because this is the Freeform, and Freeform does kind of carry out their plots a little bit better than something like the CW. Because let's be real, if this was a CW show, by episode 4, we would have already known who was doing everything. And then they'd be trying to write themselves out of a corner to figure out where to go next. But since it's on Freeform, they do tend to, have arcs that kind of stretch out a little bit in some of the other shows that I've seen. So with that being the case, a lot could happen in the next 5 episodes. I'm really interested to see what happens with Abigail, because from the look of the trailer, she's traumatized. Will Tally tell that secret? I don't know, but I'm telling you. And Anacostia told her to keep her mouth shut. There is no reason for her to tell her to do that. Why keep that from your unit? Why? I mean, quite frankly, Anacostia wanted Scylla to be away from Raelle. What better way to break them up by letting Raelle know that her girlfriend's in the spree? It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. The look on Anacastia's face when Tally said, Scylla's in the spree, it's almost like, that girl got caught. It wasn't like, oh, I'm shocked. That was not a look of shock. That was a look of, oh crap, now how do I cover this up? So yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Raelle looks like she's also losing her crap in the episode. Of course, you think your girlfriend's dead and you're already in love, which I don't know how long they've been training. It could have been like a few months or whatever, but I don't know how long they've been training. But I will say this, they fell in love very quickly. And that's actually a very big kind of lesbian stereotype, basically bringing in the U-Haul. So if it's only been like a couple of months, they're in love. But I'm not hating. It's cute. I like it. I just really, really feel like we're going to get a lot more drama with these two. And I really think Scylla's going to have some form of a redemption arc, but I don't think it's going to be easy because Raelle has not wrapped her mind around the fact that her girlfriend is capable of murdering innocent people yet. And that is going to be the hang up. There's a lot of, couples work through a lot of stuff in their relationships, but not mass murder. So just saying. Though Killing Eve, they seem not to have a really big problem with that. Another great show. I probably should do a review on Killing Eve, because I love that show. But yeah. I think that this episode was very informing, and I generally liked it. But I want to know what you guys think. So please leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to know who's next on the Nerd Ballot, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.